Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to change your valve cover gasket on a Hyundai Accent 2001. This has the 1.5 liter engine in it, and it's probably one of the easiest to service cars I've ever actually worked on. And changing the valve cover gasket is a pretty simple affair. Now, why would you want to change the valve cover gasket? Well, in my case, it's because it's leaking oil, and the oil's leaking down onto the engine manifold or the exhaust manifold, and actually causing a stink, or it's burning when it hits the exhaust manifold. So I don't want any oil leaks. I don't want any mess underneath my car when I park it, that sort of thing. And the leak is coming from the valve cover, so I'm going to show you how to replace that. You may also want to put something underneath your engine or underneath your engine compartment beneath your car, so that any oil that may come off the valve cover as you're taking it off doesn't leak onto your driveway or onto your garage floor. All right, here's all the tools and some of the equipment I used for this service. I used an inch-pound torque wrench, and I like that better on lower torque ranges like 6 or 7 pounds. So I described on the video what I'll describe on the video what torques the 7 and 6 pound bolts convert to in inch pounds. An extension, quarter inch extension for my quarter inch 10 millimeter socket. Also, this is a long one. I think it's about 8 inches. You can just use a 4 inch just as well and quite easily. There's a shorter, stubbier 2 inch extension for that 10 millimeter socket. Now, if you got 3/8, use 3/8. It doesn't matter. This is my ratchet for those tools as well. You're going to need, of course, a valve cover gasket, and I'll put a link in the video description to the one I used. I got it from Amazon, and a set of pliers and a screwdriver, which I used just to peel some of the excess sealant or RTV that they use to actually seal the gasket incorrectly and according to Hyundai's spec. All right, now we're looking down at the valve cover, and that's this whole plastic cover right here, and it needs to come off to replace the actual seal that goes, or gasket that goes all the way around it. Now, there's a total of 10 bolts to do that, and I'm going to show you the first 5 on the front, actually 6 here. You can see one here, 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 here. There's another one right there, and another one here on the corner. Now, I'll show you the rear ones here. Hopefully I can get a good angle for you, and you can see those. And they're basically parallel to the other ones. There's one here. I'm going to take this. Actually, this is the throttle cable. It needs to come off anyway, and it just clips on here. So I'm going to take it out of the way so we can see those easier. And it just unclips here. And you need to get this throttle cable off anyway. So let me just unclip it from this side here, right there. I've already unclipped it from that side, and that way you can see all the bolts on the other side. There's the throttle cable undone from those clips, so I'll just move it out of the way here. And you can see here all the other bolts that are required. There's one here in this corner, one here, and there's one more in the corner on this side here. And they're all 10 millimeter bolts, and a 10 millimeter socket with an extension will do that just perfectly for you. So other things you need to remove here, you need to remove this pipe here that is going to the I believe that's the intake, and it needs to be removed, and it looks like it just screws off, so we're going to unscrew that. Oh, nope, just pops off with this. It's a rubber pipe that just pops off like that, so basically pop it off this, it looks like the PCV valve. Yeah, that is the PVC valve, PCV valve, positive crankcase ventilation valve right there. And the other one here looks like an intake or something going to the actual throttle body again, and you're going to need a pair of pliers to remove that clip and then remove the hose. So we're going to do that next. So there's a little rubber cup that goes around the actual PVC valve there. Don't lose it because you want to put it back. Next, we're going to take this clip here off with this that attaches this hose to the actual throttle body or the intake. So I'll just use my pliers here, squeeze the clip, move it up on the hose, that way we don't lose it, and then just pull the hose off. Okay, move this stuff out of the way for yourself, like the throttle cable. It can be moved out of the way. Try not to kink it or bend it too much. Just get it out of your way so you can get at all the bolts. And now we're going to remove, actually the next thing we're going to remove are the spark plug cables that are also hanging off the actual cover, the valve cover. So let me back that up. All the actual spark plug cables. Let me move the tripod out of the way so we can see it better. Okay, so next we're going to actually just unclip all these spark plug cables. Leave them in. You don't need to pull them off the spark plugs. That way you know how they go back in, number one. You don't have to fool around with the boots or pull on the boots or anything like that. Just actually, you know, unclip them here. They're just hanging there. So just take them off the clips that are attached to the actual valve cover. And there's 4 here. So we'll take them all off here like that. There we go. And just move them a little bit out of the way. And now they're free. And basically at this point, all we need to do is take the 10 bolts out that are holding the 10 millimeter bolts that are holding the valve cover on, and then remove the cover. And then we'll go and replace the actual valve cover gasket or seal. Okay, one thing I noticed while doing that is that these 2 bolts that hold on the timing belt cover here, they don't need to come out. They actually are attached to the actual unit. I don't see anywhere else where they would be secured to the engine, so they actually come out with the actual valve cover. So let's just take the valve cover off. All right, and try and be careful not to drop any dirt in there. You may want to clean up around the valve cover before you take this apart, and therefore, you know, so that the dirt doesn't fall into the engine. Now, another thing you may want to do is take a really clean rag and very carefully wipe the surface of the actual engine here, the top of the block here, where the valves are, all the way around, so you get a nice clean surface for your new valve cover gasket to seat on. Now, there's the old one, and obviously it failed, but I'm just going to pull that one out and replace it and put the new one on. But first I'm going to clean that mess up down there. I noticed here in cleaning up this whole edge that there was sealant on the where the cam actually the valve, sorry, the camshaft is here. It goes through the engine there, and you can see that here there's a raised section, and it has sealant on it all the way around. I checked the Hyundai manual, and the Hyundai manual says to put sealant on that. And so I'm going to scrape off this old sealant here. It's pretty easy. It comes off quite easy. I'm going to use something like a piece of plastic or something to rub that off. Maybe I'll use something you know, mildly abrasive, like a scouring pad or something. But I'm going to get that off and try not to get that into the engine. Then I'm going to clean up around here too as well. But as you can see, that has to come off. And then we're going to put, I'm going to use this stuff, which is Permatex Ultra Black Maximum Oil Resistance RTV silicone gasket maker, and I'm going to put a bead on it all the way across there. And same thing on the other side. Side has sealant all over it as well, as you can see right there. So here is what I'm looking at, and you can see that there's black sealant on there. It's probably the same stuff. It needs to come off, and then we're going to put the this stuff in there, you know, in its place. I stuffed some paper towel around the valve, around the head here, where you know, the particles of this could actually fall down in. into the engine. So basically sealing it up so that you know, when I use a scouring pad, which is what I'm going to use to remove that sealant there, none of that falls into the engine. And then I'm going to blow it out a bit, but you know, it's up to you how crazy you get on that. So basically I'm just going to rub this stuff off, and I'm just using a scouring pad here. All right, there's what the cam, valve cam, there we go. There's what that arch looks like after being scoured clean. There's no sealant on it at all. I'm going to apply new sealant on it right there. I'll show you the other side here. Hopefully I can get a good angle on it. You can see how much dirt there is on that. There's how much sealant is on the other one. And you can see that it's black and covered, so that's the before. And I'll show you that after I use the scouring pad to get all that off of there. And like I said, you want it nice and clean so that you can put new sealant on there. I'm going to use the RTV, and you can basically at that point see how nice that is before I put the RTV on it. It should be basically bare metal. I would, you know, I'm using a scouring pad to get this stuff off. It's fairly soft, so don't use anything that's going to scratch up or mar up or deface the surface of that aluminum. Again, I put some more paper towel around there just to keep any of the debris from that, any of that RTV from falling in the engine. You don't want anything dirty falling in the engine at all. So I'm going to use a little bit of paper towel there to protect that, to basically cover it up. And when I'm done, I'm going to carefully remove it. I've already removed it from the other side, so don't forget that once you put this paper towel in there to take it out before you're done. It's pretty evident that you need to, but again, just so you don't do it. Don't leave it in the engine after you're done. Okay, there's the arch all cleaned off with that scouring pad. Did a good job. You may have noticed there I used the screwdriver a little bit, but I didn't use it as a scraper. I used it as a basically to remove the excess around the edges of that arch, and you know, careful not to scratch anything on the top. Okay, so now you see it's nice and clean. I've actually taken a rag and cleaned all the way around, removed all the paper towel that was you know, basically what do you call it, covering and protecting the engine from, you know, basically from RTV falling inside. And all the way around, my mating surface here is nice and bright and clean all the way around. So that's the way yours should be prior to putting the new valve cover gasket on, and prior to actually putting the sealant on here. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to put the sealant on. The sealant's supposed to be, I believe, 1/4 inch wide, and it should extend 10 millimeters on each side of the arch. But I'm going to do that after I've removed the gasket, or valve cover gasket, from the actual cover, and I'm going to show you that next. All right, so here we have the valve cover, and the old seal is still on there, and I'm going to take off the timing belt cover on the end off. There's two 10 millimeters on that to come off, and they torque down at 7 foot-pounds. These bolts secure the actual timing, the valve cover, actually go down to 6 pounds of 6 foot-pounds each. But we're not going to tighten them down initially. We're going to finger tighten them down because we have to use some RTV on this section of the actual seal or gasket, and then, you know, it needs to set for an hour before you torque it down to its full torque. So you need to remove this, which we're going to do. First, I'm going to give it a wipe here, get rid of any dirt that's on the surface that may fall into the channel. So just give it a get your rag out, give it a wipe. And we'll do that. There we go. Anything else you may want to clean up at that time, you can do as well. So this is just basically just pull up on it and pull it off like so. And it's really stiff. You can feel it, it's stiff. So that's probably why it's failed. It's just gotten too hard over time. So pull it all off here like that. And you'll see that there's oil in the channel behind it too as well. All the way along here there's a channel where it's sitting, and it's kind of got oil in there, so I'm just going to wipe some of that off there too, just using my rag. Now I've got all the debris cleaned off, all the excess oil in that channel is out. Now we can put the new gasket on here, and then we're about ready to put this back on the engine. But before we put this on the engine, we need to put the RTV seal on the actual indentations here, which are for the cam shaft that goes through here in the engine. So basically their spec is to put the RTV 1 centimeter or 10 millimeters, which is about 1/4 inch from each corner of the actual divot here for the camshaft. Okay, so I'll show you that. You don't put it on the gasket here. You actually put it on the mating surface on the valve train. I'll show you that next. Here's the new gasket seal or valve cover seal, and what a difference between this one and the old one. It's actually malleable, it doesn't feel hard, and it should work really well here. I'm going to put it on into the channels here, and then we're going to go back to the engine and put the RTV on the actual camshaft covers. I'll show you that when we're done. And just place this stuff in here. Looking good, looking good. All right. Doesn't have to be super snug, because when you put the bolts to it, it'll actually get snug. Again, I did take the timing belt cover off here. I will put it back on later on, and it does torque down to 7 foot-pounds on each one of those 10 millimeter bolts. And I will be using my torque wrench to put those values in. So I've cleaned all my mating surfaces here on the engine, on the valve cover or the valve train here, and you can see it's nice and clean. I'm going to use my ultra black Permatex sealant on there, and the directions from Hyundai say don't put enough on there to make it squeeze out from the edges, and the directions from Permatex say to put enough to make it squeeze out from the edges. So I'm going to see if I can thread the needle and just barely make it touch the edges. And what they suggest is to go 10 millimeters from the edge of the arc here, so about here, all the way over to 10 millimeters past on this side. So I'm going to do that. I think that's pretty good right there. Not too much. A little bit over there. A little bit on top here to make sure I cover it all. Okay, so that's basically what you do there. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And then we put the cover on and just finger tight the actual bolts that hold it down. And you wait an hour, and then you do the final torque down. Okay, here's the timing belt side. Did the same thing again. Missed a little spot right down here. Yeah, make sure you get good coverage all the way down, up and down. It's probably a little too much there, but oh well. Not going to kill anything really. There we go. All right, now we carefully put the valve cover back on here and made it correctly to that surface, and then we finger tight the actual bolts that hold it down and wait an hour, and then we go fully torque to 6 pounds each after that. Let's get this cover on, pull the wires out of the way if they're going to be in your way, and just very, very carefully, very gently try and get it as aligned as possible so you don't have to move it back and forth or anything like that. Just drop it right down and nice and straight on there, like so. Beautiful. Now we're going to finger tight the bolts, and then we're going to go from there. There's all the bolts down, finger tight with my extension. Looking good. There is a little bit of ooze on the edge here, so I did put a little bit too much RTV on there, but you know, it's not going to kill anything, it's not going to hurt anything. I'm going to let this sit there for an hour, then I'm going to come back with my torque wrench and torque all these down to the appropriate 6 foot-pounds each, and then also put the timing belt cover back on at 7 foot-pounds for each one of those 10 millimeters, and then connect everything back that should be connected, including all the wires back onto their holders and the PVC pipe on here as well. And at that point, we're going to start it up and see how it runs. It's been an hour now, so I'm going to torque down all the bolts on the valve cover to 6 foot-pounds. I'm using an inch-pounds torque wrench, and it's a click type, and in inch-pounds, 6 foot-pounds is 72 inch-pounds. The 2 bolts that hold the timing belt cover on are 7 inch-pounds, which would be 7 foot-pounds each, which would be 84 inch-pounds. So I'll be adjusting the torque wrench to that. So let's get this thing tightened down. I'm going to start by, feel and I'm going to start on the center bolts as well, and I'm going to go in a cross pattern, working my way towards the outer edges. Again, I haven't gotten to the torque rate, to the clicking range on the wrench yet. I'm just going like by feel to a snug level, and then I'm going to go again from the center back to the edges to the right torque rate or torque level on each bolt. Right, each bolt is now snug, so I'm ready to do the final torquing down to the 6 foot-pounds or the 72 inch-pounds. Okay, that one's down to 6 foot-pounds. So is that one. I will check them all again when I'm done, just to make sure. All right, they've all clicked at 6 pounds each, so I'm going to go back to the center, work my way out crosswise, and make sure that they're all at 6 again. Yep, that one is. That one went a little tighter. So that one. This one's not so bad. And a little more. All right, so all of those are torqued down to 6 foot-pounds or 72 inch-pounds, and looking good at this point. Next, I'm going to put the timing belt cover over here on at 84 inch-pounds or 7 foot-pounds. Okay, here we go with the timing belt cover. All right, both the bolts on the timing belt cover here are on their finger tight, and now I'm going to torque them down to their spec, which is 7 foot-pounds, or I'm using an inch-pound torque wrench because it's more accurate at this low torque level, and that's going to be 84 inch-pounds. So let's go at it. And they're 10 millimeter, by the way. So that one just clicked. Okay, that one clicked too. Get another look here. Yep, both are good and tight, and they clicked at the 84 inch-pounds, so they're ready to go. Next, just put back everything you took off. We'll start with the PCV valve there. I'm going to put that pipe back on in its cover, so it's basically just force fit it there. Yeah, there's my throttle cable. That's going back next. After this, PCB. There we go. And you can see that it's a rubber hose inside a covered hose there, so that goes on there. And then there's this little cover here for the PCV valve. I'm just going to put over it like that, just the way I found it. Next, the throttle cable goes into these clips, and it just clicks on in there. There, I just put the first throttle cable here. I just didn't realize I was out of picture, but basically it goes around this protected piece of rubber, and then again on this side you'll see it here again on that clip. So force it in there, it'll click in. There we go. Nice and snug. Make sure. Yep. PCV valve is fine there. Next, we got to put on all the actual spark plug wires here that we took off from the holders. You can move them around if you wish to get a better fit if you want. I'm going to do that with them. That seems to be working okay. And up here there's 4, and so they have to all go onto the holder here. So start with the simplest ones like that, and then the other 2 on top like that. All 4 nicely clipped together. And another holder over here I'm going to rearrange a little bit just to get it to go that much nicer. There we go. And like I said, you can play with these, get them any way you want, whatever's convenient, but just make sure they're not touching anything hot like the exhaust manifold. So that's that. I've got those on. And last but not least, this small hose over here that goes onto the valve cover right here. Maybe easier just to take off this throttle cable out of the way here and do that, and just to show it too as well. I'm going to put it underneath like so, feed it on, grab the clip with my pliers. Hopefully you guys can see it. And lock it down like that. Put the throttle cable back on its clip right there. And we're done here. And that's it. That's how you put on your valve cover gasket or seal on the 1.5 liter single overhead cam 12 valve engine on the Hyundai Accent 2001. That's it for my video. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video and it helped you out in some way, do me a favor, click on the like button right down here. And you know, if you wish to subscribe to my channel, just click on this link up here. and that should subscribe you to the Richard Lloyd channel, or Richard Lloyd USA channel. Okay, again, thank you very much for your time and watching.